I think the first step to change in any aspects of your life, whether that be uh, business, mental health, relationships, um, to change something, the first step is becoming aware of the thing that you want to change, right?
Hmm.
Because without becoming aware of something, you're not you're not gonna be able to focus on something, right? So yeah, something being aware is that first step. So as soon as you're aware of something, that's a step in itself. Um,
Is it awareness of the change or the awareness
awareness
of?
or the or a
Okay.
problem or the thing that you want to change possibly. Um, so for example, if we look at it from, I mean, from with my therapist head on, like if someone wants to change anxiety, someone needs to first realize that they're anxious.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to change it just. Well, yeah, they need to acknowledge that it's there essentially. As soon
Hmm.
as they've acknowledged it's there, then they can go to the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step, so on.
Wait, so acknowledge you've got it.
Yeah, or simply acknowledge that or where you have it maybe. So like in certain situations or something like that, you might be aware, okay, I have anxiety, but where do you get anxiety? What makes you anxious? Is it certain people? Is it certain places?
Hmm.
Is it certain thoughts about like certain thoughts that you have to yourself? The amount of people that aren't anxious socially,
Yeah.
but are anxious just by themselves is, I think that's a topic that's not spoken about too much. Because when people think of anxiety, they think, oh, like maybe, well, they think like maybe like social anxiety or anxiety about a specific thing or something like that. But a lot of people get anxious just by themselves and their own thoughts.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I was talking to someone the other day
Mm.
and they were saying like they need before going to bed, they need to do something, meaning they have to listen to something, they have to
Yeah,
watch something.
yeah, man.
They have to have a stimulant to go to bed because they simply can't be with their
One
own
shut down.
thoughts. Yeah,
Yeah,
they can't be with their own thoughts. And
wind down. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
I was like, wow, like
that's a distraction based.
that is a distraction based and that
Mm.
is quite mad because the fact that you can't stick with your own thoughts is kind of should be a scary thing in itself.
Yeah, and
Um,
and and that's, although again that works for the short term because
yeah.
it relieves, I don't know, the anxiety or just the kind of getting over your thoughts because you're distracted.
Mhm.
um, the long term it doesn't help. So that's what's referred to as like a safety behavior. So although yes, it will help in the short term to listen to a video, listen to a podcast or something as you're falling asleep, but long term you're not acknowledging what the problem
The
is.
actual cause, yeah.
Yeah, and sorting out and yeah, hitting that problem head on.
I think, yeah, it
Yeah.
also comes from like people want immediate results,
Mm.
very quick. And actually sometimes they want to solve the feeling, as in the end result of the problem,
Yeah,
right? So just like kind of medicating the problem rather than actually, like you said, solving the core issue that actually
definitely.
would eliminate the whole issue of having
Yeah.
it in the first place.
Yeah, and that's why I think medication is needed for some people. For if we're looking at mental health, and again, this might be like controversial,
Yeah.
but I think sometimes medication is given out a bit too quickly. Um, because again, like you might just be wanting to get rid of a certain feeling rather than kind of exploring where that feeling stems from,
Yeah.
why you're having that feeling, and so on. So that will always be there because if you're medicating,
Yeah.
you yes, again, it might help or whatever with the medication, but then as soon as you're off that medication, um, then yeah, like that problem is still there essentially. It's still there under the surface. So until you address that, but again, like I'm not, I don't want to generalize that to all people. There are certainly specific people that have maybe tried therapy or have tried acknowledging the problem or do all the correct things, I suppose, on paper. Uh, but they just sometimes there's no root cause behind a feeling. There is just I don't know, like they just generally do have a really bad mental illness, and then that's when medication is. But I think it is a. Um, I think medication should be the um,
Option.
last option.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
Because if you flip this to the bigger picture then,
yeah, yeah,
right, with actual pharma-based companies,
yeah.
of course, if you're one of them, what would you want?
Well, yeah, you'd want to distribute it
You would want to
as
distribute it to
quickly as you
every
can.
as quickly and it's to as many people and as often as you want.
Yeah,
So for them, it's just a way to get the money.
Mm.
right? And how long can you keep? It's like a subscription-based model,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah,
How long can you keep this patient on for your thing? Per month, they pay you X amount.
yeah,
I'll give them the medication. So
definitely.
that's
And
the
and
thing.
I
Like,
don't think that, yeah, like I said, I don't think medication is a bad thing for everyone. And again, it might be someone's last resort is to go to medication, and then it might work, and that's fine. But if it's your first option, or the first thing that you want, then again, like, I think there's other avenues to go down first,
yeah, 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 yeah,
before
yeah,
jumping on medication, because that has its own side effects and so on,
yeah. Absolutely.
physically and mentally.
And
Like, I
yeah,
find it
yeah,
crazy that
yeah.
some antidepressants have a side effect of making you more depressed.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
or a side effect could be suicidal thoughts. To try and cure your depression, a side effect could be, oh, actually, it could make it worse. So that shows, like, yeah, life is really unfair. So you've got
Absolutely,
to do
man.
everything that you can to kind of gain as much control as you can in life.
Absolutely. And you know, with the whole thing about life being unfair, um, it's interesting because if you think about it, we could be born anywhere in the world.
Mm,
Anywhere we could be born. I'm very grateful to be here, right? I'm very grateful. I'm sure you're the same.
mm.
We really could have been brought up in like the worst
We
part.
could be in a war right now.
Exactly, we could be
Yeah,
brought up in the worst conditions as possible.
yeah, it's scary.
Or we could even be brought up in the best ever conditions, aka being born into a extremely wealthy family, but still have that they've got their issues of their own, but it's actually the same when it comes to kind of mental issues,
Mm,
because these people do not know how to kind of act and kind of cope. I personally believe being born into kind of not a rich family,
mm.
but
Having the
having the
foundations.
great
Yeah,
foundations, the support system, the family and friends around you
yeah.
is actually the best point. I
Mm.
think that's the kind of the key balancing point, because you've got the ambition and drive to succeed, but then you've also got the love and the support.
Yeah, and yeah, foundations to grow. Yeah, which, yeah, obviously a lot of people might not have. Even in this country, to be fair, they might
Yeah,
not have the
absolutely.
foundations. Um,
But whatever condition you're in, I think it's really good to just kind of
yeah,
take a step back, analyze the situation.
what can you do? Yeah,
What can you do? First of all,
what
just
is in your
realize
control?
exactly, yeah. What's actually gone well for your life? Like
Mm,
there are things even in the harshest conditions, there are good things. People can be happy, and they are.
yeah,
Take a step back, understand what you can do, um, and then just attack whatever that thing that you need to do with
yeah.
100% effort. Do not give in to your feelings.
Mm,
Your feelings are there, you whatever. Just go all out and conquer, because once you start growing yourself, once you start evolving internally, making the right moves, making money, growing professionally, relationships, spiritually, whatever,
mm,
I don't think you can ever go wrong,
yeah,
personally.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so true.
And yeah, also there's like this saying where I don't know if you actually genuinely put. We were talking about this earlier, where we put 100% of our effort,
Mm.
right? You can't go wrong, because
What do you mean?
you remember you were saying like if you really put your mind to something and you put 100%, 100%, you know that there isn't an ounce more you could have done,
Mm.
right? And you're
Oh,
being
right.
you're
Yeah,
being
yeah.
completely
There's no
completely
regrets. That's it, essentially. Yeah.
yeah, and you're being completely truthful to yourself.
Mm,
You actually can't go wrong. There's a lot of times, even in school, bro. Like I did not put effort in,
mm,
and potentially I could say like yeah, like I could have done better. I might regret maybe. But that's me at that point of time. That's my thinking back then. But now I realize, listen, let me just test this theory out. And recently I put it into work. I put 100% of effort in, and boom, I saw the results immediately.
mm.
The universe rewards you for your hard work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It will reward you, like no matter what.
Mm,
Like I firmly believe that, and I've seen it for myself. So
yeah,
I think whatever it is that you want, you just have to really put every single drop of effort. You have to literally genuinely. People say, all the successful people say like, just work hard.
mm,
And like it kind of goes over your head, and you're like, ah man, come on, like of course, but it's so true.
yeah.
It's when you say work hard, it means you put 12 hours, 12 working hours a day
Mm,
into that thing.
yeah, yeah,
You sacrifice things, you say no to things that you might usually want to do,
yeah,
that you feel like that would give you instant gratification. You say no to it. You focus on the long term goal.
yeah. Mm,
I don't think you can go wrong.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I suppose that goes back to that element of just, yeah, trying your best. at whatever you're doing. If you give it your all, you're not going to look back and think, oh, well, I could have done more here, or I could have done more there, or what if I did this? What it goes back, then yeah, you create a lot of what ifs. Um,
And that's the worst thing, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Imagine being old, right? And you're like, ah man, like I know I have this ability,
Mm,
or I know I could do well, but what if I just tried that?
yeah, yeah.
And then at that point you're like, wow, in my 20s I was so free. I was making videos in the park.
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
I
yeah,
could have done I could have done it,
yeah.
but I didn't do it. But why?
Mm,
And that honestly, that feeling, I just think it's just probably the
yeah.
case.
I hope not.
No,
I
but
hope not.
the good thing is, if you have that awareness right here, right now,
Yeah,
how could you
true. Yeah,
how could you go
exactly.
wrong?
Yeah, yeah. And that's what, yeah, it goes back to what we were saying before then, is finding those values and what you do value then. Because when you find out what you do value, then that's what you'll be striving towards in terms if it's business or pleasure or anything like that. If you want the a goal to be the nice house or whatever, or the nice car, or I don't know. But some people like the nice cars or the nice house or whatever. Some people might like, oh, like nice food or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever you work out your values to be,
yeah,
then you can have your own rich life and fulfilled life when you work out who you are, what you want.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
and
Fulfilled life. I think
yeah,
that's the key point there.
definitely, yeah,
I think fulfillment comes in different forms, comes in different ways.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Also, I just wanted to ask you, since you probably know about this topic, can your personality change? Is that possible?
If,
Because
yeah,
I recently did. So when I first did the test, was it 16? Was it 16 something?
yeah,
I think 16 personality test.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's what it's called online. I got INFP, which is like, I think like 57% introverted.
Oh, right,
That one,
exactly,
right?
right, right,
But I
right.
recently did the test, and I got something, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not me, is it? So
Mm.
then I redid the test again, and I got the same result, and now I'm like an extroverted, EF, whatever,
Oh, right, okay.
and it's like it's a different personality than I was before.
Mm. Wait, how long was that between?
About a year.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I think you can. Like, it depends if you want to or not. If you're happy being I'd say I'm probably naturally more introverted.
Really?
Yeah, I
I
probably
wouldn't
would.
have guessed that, to be honest.
Really,
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I think I have extroverted aspects of me. So like with you, for example, I feel
Yeah,
comfortable. You're like my best mate. So like I'll just say kind of what's ever on my mind.
yeah. But
But
even around new people, I've seen you around new people, and
I think,
when we go to events, I mean, I guess
but I mean, yeah, I think I can. I'm happy to kind of. Well, I
talk.
don't mind being in those situations, but
Yeah,
I think I prefer kind
actually,
of
yeah,
being by myself, doing my own
yeah,
thing, more than kind of going out and being in
yeah,
those situations. But if for some reason I didn't like that, then I think yeah, I can maybe start to yeah learn how to yeah go out more, talk to people more if I wanted to. But right now I don't think I want to. But it works the same the other way. If someone's really extroverted and feels like they're only happy when they're with other people, but they think oh no, I wanna be a bit more like happy being by myself and so on. You can certainly work on that.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
different for every person is different. Every person has their own story. Um,
yeah,
but again, it comes back to kind of working yourself out why you're like that in the first place, and
yeah.
um, yeah, that's why I think therapy can be a really good way of just kind of figuring that stuff out.
Okay.
But even if you don't want to do therapy, it's there's other ways that you can maybe, yeah, if you feel like you don't want therapy, there's different ways of maybe trying to figure out who you are or what you want in terms of your purpose or
Yeah,
values or anything like that. So like I think what we said before, I can't remember if we mentioned it, but just having time by yourself, no distractions, and focusing on whatever you want to focus on, you'll get a lot of the answers. I think a lot,
absolutely.
same with like stress, for example.
Yeah,
A lot of people don't know why they're stressed because they distract themselves constantly. So they're running from their own thoughts essentially. So they might distract themselves through music, through TV, through social media, through talking to people,
yeah,
um, and yeah, and if you were to, I suppose it goes. This is the aspect of kind of meditation, but if you were to simply sit down for 5 to 10 minutes and just, I don't know, do a breathing techniques, do some kind of counting, and naturally your brain is going to wander off somewhere, and
Yeah.
whatever is on your mind that's stressing you, worrying you, um, your brain is most likely going to go to that first. So that's a good way of getting into that acknowledgement stage that we were talking about before. Is like the first key
Yeah.
to change is acknowledging it. So if you're trying to figure out, well, how do I acknowledge it? That's a good way of practicing, is simply sitting there, do nothing, um, and just, I don't know,
Watch
simply,
your thoughts
yeah, just, yeah,
arise and
count
fall.
to 10,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
count back from 10, count to 10, count back from 10, and then naturally your brain's going to go elsewhere. As soon as you catch yourself thinking about whatever you're thinking, and you think, oh, all right, I've stopped counting now, and now I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
What was I thinking about? And then maybe note it down. And then maybe don't
Ah.
react to it right there and then. Go back to the counting until your 10 minutes is up or something like that.
Hmm.
Go again. Where else did your brain go? Might go to the same place, might go somewhere else. That's a
Right.
good way of acknowledging where your brains are, what maybe is, what stresses are on your life, or
And then from there you kind of decipher
what to do about it.
techniques to
Yeah.
actually
All right.
combat
What
that.
do I need to, how do I need to overcome this then? Do I need to
Yeah.
seek professional help? Do I just need to think or spend more time on this issue trying
Yeah.
to overcome? And do I need to understand it more? Yeah, anything. So that's a really good way of kind of just acknowledging what's going on in your head. Because again,
Yeah.
we're in a society now where we're just full of distractions.
Yeah.
Before, I reckon people were bored probably a lot more before because they didn't have instant access to music, instant access to communicating with people. Um, I'm talking more like
Yeah.
40,
A long time.
50
Yeah, yeah,
years
yeah.
ago or
Well,
whatever.
not that long to be honest.
Well, yeah, probably less.
Can I ask you something actually? Is there something now that you're like fully in the qualified um kind of psychologist space where like you have to actually give professional advice? Um,
Hmm.
is there anything because they obviously kind of it's a quite regulated space, right? It's a very regulated space.
Hmm.
Is there anything that you disagree with from them?
What in
Because
within psychology?
yeah, because obviously you're only allowed to say well, you're only allowed to stick to something your own. Like you can't necessarily share your own thoughts, right? I mean, obviously you can, but like
I mean, yeah, I
you
mean,
ca
it's very much obviously the focus on. Then I'm not going to tell them. So yeah, some people might think, oh, I give them advice or tell them how to think or whatever, but I suppose it goes back to the aspect of people need to come to their own realizations, I think, and that's an aspect of therapy in itself. It's coming to those own realizations. If I was to quickly just tell them, right, this is what you should do, this is what you should do, people might back away. People might not necessarily agree with it or understand it straight
okay.
away, and so on. So, um,
But if you kind
but
of
yeah,
like,
sorry, what was your
so my,
question?
my question was, obviously like you're probably told how to kind of speak to people, right?
Yeah.
And what you should say, what you shouldn't say, blah blah blah. But is there anything that you don't agree with? I don't know. Is there a board of psychologists that kind of give these rules, whatever?
Oh, right. Yeah. So I think that there's different. I, I don't know. It's difficult. So there's different approaches to therapy. There's some. So I do integrative therapy. So integrative therapy is like I use multiple approaches based off the individual. So whatever I think will work best with that individual, that's the
Okay.
approach that I will take.
Okay.
But other people might just have one approach and just stick to that approach.
Right. Okay.
So I again, this is just personal opinion. I think that that's not necessarily great because
It's not a one size fits all answer.
yeah. So there might be certain things. So there's some therapists that are person centered, and I use aspects of person centered, of course.
Is that just meaning tailored
So
to
it's
the
kind of just
person?
like in the other person
Yeah.
carry the session. You're kind of just there to help
Oh,
them
right.
reflect, question them on certain things, explaining more. So it's essentially helping someone process something,
Mhm.
and that can be good. But then I think sometimes you need maybe a bit more than just kind of letting someone reflect or rant or something like that. Um, but for some people, again, like that's very generalized. Like some people that might work and that might help. They just need a space to talk. They need a space to process. They need a space to reflect, or they need someone to listen who, um, yeah, who or they feel like they can't talk to anyone else about
Yeah.
these things
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
other people might have their own opinions and whatever.
Okay.
Um, but so yeah. So what I'm saying there is like there's certain approaches that I feel like they think, all right, this is the way that I do it, and
Yeah.
it might work for some people, but it might not work for others. So
do you have the power to then say, nah, I wanna this is definitely what I really believe in. This is my approach. I wanna do this approach. And do they ever say to you, no, you can't do that. You have to stick with this. This is the regulation. Because I think that is when it becomes a bit tricky, where it's like one idea is an imposed.
Yeah, I mean,
On
there's lots of different, there's loads of different approaches.
okay,
So that's the why I like doing it integratively, because then I'm constantly learning about different approaches that might suit
okay,
different people.
okay,
Different, everyone has their own story. Different things work for different people. That's why I don't like the idea of a single approach, because it might not benefit someone.
yeah,
Um, and that's
okay,
why, and again, it might not be necessarily the approach, it might be the person. Like two people naturally, the therapist is
yeah,
still a human, so you might not naturally connect with that person.
yeah,
Um, I think there's more rules and regulations coming in place in terms of what can be done and what can't be done in terms of,
yeah.
but which I think is can be a good thing.
Can be a
Um,
good thing.
yeah,
Okay,
because um, there's certain people that are really quite qualified or got lots of different qualifications to be where they are, but then there's other people that might claim that they're a counsellor but have one little qualification. So there's
all
no
right,
rules
okay,
and regulations in place in terms of titles at the moment.
right, okay.
So that's
From
going to change.
experiences.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, so I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I view it as like there's ways that people can benefit from it.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, but well, from my approach anyway. But I'm going to be biased in that because that's the way that I have always
yeah.
done it. Is multiple approaches, constantly learning about different approaches, constantly learning about different things from people.
What do you?
Um,
So okay, let's just bounce back onto the earlier point about stress, right? Is
stress
that
is
would
right.
you say that's a quite a common thing then?
What stress?
Yeah, especially like people in, I guess, if we solely stick to people in our 20s because that's all we know,
Mm,
from our experience, that
yeah,
we
yeah.
can't really speak to someone that's above 20, like in the 30s, 40s, 50s, like
Mm.
that. From our experiences, is that what a lot of people?
Yeah, a lot of people might have.
What's your view on stress?
Uh, I think there's different levels of stress. I think some level, or well, I know that there are some levels of stress that's good because it's a motivator. It will get you to do things. Um,
What kind of stress is that though?
uh,
Because I think it's more so not the stress, but actually the way you view the stress.
right, okay.
So like meaning I guess some people can tolerate stress a lot more than others.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that you can't tolerate stress. Like, even if I can tolerate less stress than you,
Mm.
as long as I try to tolerate it more, I can learn to tolerate it more.
Yeah,
Meaning
yeah,
I
yeah,
build that skill, and I become better at it.
yeah. I
Um,
think I think it, up to a certain point, it depends what stress and stuff is because
yeah,
everyone again like everyone's gonna have lots of different aspects of our so although we say yeah from our 20s, someone's 20s might be completely different to
yeah,
ours.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we can only speak from our own, I suppose. But yeah, I think stress. Yeah, up to a certain point. I think yeah, there gets to a certain point where yeah, I suppose you need to reevaluate. Well, you can always evaluate what is causing you stressed, or what is making you
Yeah,
stressed. Sorry, and
yeah,
what
yeah,
how you can change that.
yeah.
Um, and that again comes from finding balance within your life and so on.
Okay,
Um, but what? So you're
but
you're saying using stressors.
I feel like honestly, the way I used to view stress was like it's negative. Like the whole connotation of the word stress,
Hmm.
from hearing the word to actually maybe even feeling it, it was just all negative.
Hmm.
But then only recently, like the last 5 months, 6 months maybe, where I actually started to think, you know what, I'm feel stressed, but this is good, because it means I can just take on more. And instead of it becoming like taking power away from me, whenever I felt stressed, I felt like I'm on the right path, and I wanted more.
What makes you stressed then?
What makes me stressed? I'd say things where like there's an overload of things going on at the same time, meaning
Okay.
maybe work is extremely high, maybe I forgot to upload a YouTube video, so I need to film, and then also like friends maybe wanting to meet up, or maybe what's it called?
I
If
see.
a relationship
Right.
comes, there's just a lot of plates to juggle at the same time. I
Mm.
think for me that is what stress is, but at the same time, if I am able to juggle all the plates, if I try, the amount of satisfaction I feel just after is incredible, because
Mm.
I'm like, first of all, I've just developed a new skill, able to handle multiple tasks at the same time. So I've unlocked a new version of me
Mm.
slowly, right? I've gained XP,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then secondly, if I was to have that again, I can just do it better.
Mm.
And then kind of also I read a study where like if you take the top successful people or the CEOs of the world, they all have one thing in common. They are a master at handling stress because they have
So that's essentially, yeah. That so handling stress is essentially resilience building. So
resilience.
the
Yeah,
more stress
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah,
handle, the more resilient of a person you are. So
yeah,
that's essentially, so the more things that you can handle that might cause little parts of stress, that's making you stronger and stronger in terms of, yeah, resilience based for sure.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
like it just also kind of makes me. It's weird because it kind of makes me less stressed because I can handle so much that
you're learning. Yeah, normal.
it becomes a fuel. It's genuinely like it's like my petrol.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's only after I've like recently had this shift of mindset and I can see things actually improving.
Mm,
I just fell in love with like I need more stress,
yeah.
right? I
I
need
think it comes to a balance though, because obviously we're in our 20s.
yeah,
So, and again, like it depends on your balance. So if your life is kind of constantly that element of stress,
yeah.
and there's no balance of pleasure,
Hmm.
then it could
No,
lead to,
what is pleasure though?
well, yeah, that's you got your, it
That's
depends on your
like it.
definition of pleasure.
What if balancing those plates was your pleasure?
Yeah, it could be, but again, like physically though, it depends how much stress physically you like
Okay.
kind of take on in the body, because when you have stress that produces cortisol, the more
Yeah.
cortisol you have, that can have physical impacts.
Okay.
Um, so I suppose like as long as, and that's when like, because I agree, like, so obviously I'm all about like working hard and so on, but if it's having a detrimental impact, the fact that you're not eating properly or you're not
Yeah.
sleeping enough, then that's when it's obviously going to impact you a lot more
Hmm.
physically as well. So as long as you've got, you're
So
sleeping
okay.
sort of however many hours you need, which, or the research shows is between like 7 and 8 hours each night.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and again, you're eating enough and you're fueling yourself properly,
Yeah.
then I think, yeah, yeah, I think I get what you're saying. But then if that stress, you get so addicted to that you're just like, all right, I want to keep going. Like you will hit a crash because you're not sleeping, you're not eating,
Right.
you're maybe not
Okay.
having that
So it's
downtime
if
that you
like
need.
okay. So it's if like that takes over other parts of your life. If it drains.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
If we
No.
look, I suppose if we're looking at that achievement pleasure scale again,
Okay.
if that stress then that you were saying there, that's hitting all the achievement marks, so you're probably getting like,
Right.
if you're
Right. Right.
scaling it, you're probably going to scale it quite high each time, and then
Yeah.
there might, that pleasure might come from that as well.
Okay.
But then if we're purely looking at just kind of a pleasure, like, all right, I'm just gonna go to the cinema or something with a mate, and that's my way of kind of maybe having a bit of downtime. I'm just gonna go out to eat today. Like we had a lot of like pleasure just
Yeah.
chilling and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That was like, so I look at weekdays. I don't really, to be honest, have too much time like to chill. To be
Yeah.
honest, like I kind of
Honestly.
go at it, but
Yeah.
the way that Saturday and Sunday, I will try and work now in the mornings or gym or anything like that. But I think a lot of Saturdays and Sundays for the day and the evening and stuff, that's my time to kind of wind down,
I see.
relax, reflect,
Yeah. Yeah.
and kind of recharge and get ready for the week again to enable
To
me to keep
keep
going.
going. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's all about that balance. So there's a model called the three systems model, right? And
Right.
it's, everyone has three systems within them.
Okay.
Um,
Which is.
so there's the drive system, the soothe system, and the threat system. So the
Okay.
drive system is all about kind of that motivational, or not necessarily motivate, but the kind of the system that kind of where you get stuff done. So
Okay.
you're working hard, you're going to the gym, anything's kind of better yourself, short term or long term.
Okay.
The soothe system is anything that helps you unwind, anything that helps you relax, recharge, get ready to kind of go again, essentially.
Okay.
And then there's the threat system. So that's anything that makes you angry, anxious, anything that maybe puts your body under like threat of like just not feeling good, essentially.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's all about that balance really, and so people that might not, and then again, and knowing what puts you in those systems. So if certain things put you in those threat systems, so like we were talking about before, I think off camera, we're saying some people, when they're just kind of going to sleep, their own thoughts put them into that threat system.
Yeah.
So they distract themselves through, I don't know,
Podcasts.
audios and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And again, so you've got to work out how to get out of that
Mm.
threat system in a healthy way, and then also maintain balance within the drive system and the soothe system. Some people might be in their threat system and then go straight to soothe and distract themselves through soothing, and not acknowledging the threat enough. Some people might be in the threat system and then distract themselves through work and so on, and not acknowledge the threat and so on. So it's all about acknowledging what puts you in those things, acknowledging that it's a healthy balance of all those things. Some people might think they're too much in the soothing because they're chilling too much, they're watching too much TV, they're lounging, so their drive system
Yeah,
is really small.
that happens. I
Um,
can feel that sometimes.
yeah, so then
But is that more like regret then from being in the sewer system too much?
not a regret. It's just kind of it's finding your balance, what fits in your life, and what
Okay.
and your goals and so on,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and finding a balance that suits you and that is sustainable as well.
Okay.
Um, in those three systems. So essentially, if someone's like really overwhelmed or stressed or just feels like they're burnt out, it's like, well, what do those systems look like? And it might just be that there's no soothe at all, so they find no time and pleasure.
Yeah.
They only just think um, in their threat or their drive. They have no
Right.
soothing system, so they take no time for themselves
Yeah.
to yeah, and that might be something as simple as like um, I don't know, something as I know it's like really oh, I got thrown off there by people
Oh,
walking,
yeah, no, go
but
on.
like it might be something as simple like taking a shower. For me, taking a shower for like 10 minutes with some
Yeah,
music is the most relaxing thing ever,
it
and that
is.
helps me like just kind of
Depends on the song.
yeah, true, yeah,
But it's
stay
true, yeah.
present,
Nah, it's true.
relax,
Yeah.
like it's nice hot water and stuff like that, and that 10 minutes will help me relax and kind of yeah go again.
100%. I think for
Uh,
me as well, the driving in night,
yeah,
I
that's
love,
right.
I
Yeah,
mean, by the videos
definitely.
as well, but like I love driving at night.
Yeah, so it's finding those things
Yeah.
that help you kind of those little things that kind of help you keep going to get
Okay.
back in that drive and so on. So I think yeah, it's definitely a lot of to do with balance, but yeah, I get what you mean then. So with stress and kind of building that resilience then,
Yeah.
and building that being comfortable, being able to manage lots of different things because you're learning how to take on all these different things and you feel good about it
Right,
as
okay.
well.
Yeah, you definitely feel
You get
good.
lots of stuff when again that goes back to that hitting that you get a I suppose a healthy sense of accomplishment
Hmm.
by knowing that you're managing and doing all these things.
Okay. No,
Um,
no, that's actually very interesting. Like I've never heard of this, the drive, the soothe, like
yeah.
the whole three systems
Mm,
before. And I feel like more people maybe need to kind of really need to realize this. I mean, I don't know. It's not really taught in schools or anything like that, but
yeah, man.
it's a really interesting kind of
It's
point there.
balance. Is all I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is all about balance. Like I think there's so many things
Yeah.
that you can enjoy,
Yeah.
but if you do it all the time, then that's going to be detrimental to you. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
if we went like today, for example, if we just went out all the time, like eating out,
Sushi.
sushi, yeah,
Yeah.
and going out and not really doing anything else. Like today was really fun, but
Yeah.
neither of us could do that every single day.
Yeah.
Like that would be
Right.
unhealthy and like that would yeah be a detriment to us. But every now and then,
Hmm.
that's good.
Okay.
And it's the same in other things. So like if you're watching Netflix every now and then, that's great. If that's your downtime, a couple times a week, whatever. But if you do it every single day and or if that's all you do throughout the whole day,
Yeah.
like
No, of course. Yeah.
maybe you'd think back and be like, oh, like do I want to do that?
Right. Yeah, and exactly. I think it's all about questioning what you're doing at the moment. So
Mm,
again, it's that being present,
yeah.
right? Being present.
Yeah.
Right now, we're making a video, but we're
Mm,
talking about things that personally we knew we've never actually. I mean, to be fair, we've never spoken about this with anyone. Like, it's not. These aren't really the conversations we have with people.
yeah. And to be honest,
Sadly,
you and my girlfriend are the only people that I'd probably talk to about this. I
that.
don't think there's anyone. I try and
Yeah.
talk to my mum about it because she's someone who is constantly on the go where
Yeah.
she just knackers herself out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and especially because she's older now as well. And I really rate it, and I think she's one of the most like hardworking people I know.
Yeah.
Um, and I've probably gained a lot from that.
Yeah.
But I also want her to be able to learn how to relax and look after herself as well, especially as she's getting older,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
learning to be okay with that as well. Because it's not, I don't think it's necessarily sustainable constantly being on the go non-stop.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think having those elements of even, and again, like I said, even if it's that 10-minute shower
Yeah. Yeah.
in the day, like I value that in the morning, like after gym, having a
Yeah.
shower, like oh, that's nice
Hot
and
water.
relaxing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's nice.
Nah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah, it's not a common thing we can always talk about, but yeah, that kind of leads me on to what we were talking about before as well off camera about like after, I mean, obviously we've made a lot of friends at uni. It was a really good time, and
mm,
even from school as well. But it's kind of sad when you look at things and like y- you evolve, you change, and even the people around you also change.
mm,
Like if you think about it, when you were like 5 years old, your first ever school,
mm.
you had a lot of people around you, a lot of friends, but you probably don't even speak to any of them now, right?
Yeah, it's weird. Like primary school, I think there's one person I'm kind of loosely still in contact
And
with.
what? Okay,
But
what year was that?
wait, what? Sorry, what?
When
When
did you meet them? Like,
Oh, when I first met them, I would have been in what, like year one,
okay,
year
so that
two.
for a long
So
time,
what,
yeah.
like 2004,
4, 5, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I went to the same secondary school and sixth form with him.
Okay.
But the other people that I made friends with in primary school went to different secondary
But
schools.
but
So
do
I've
you
not.
know this person or do you really actually hang out with them? Like,
No, I don't hang out with them. I
yeah,
see him like maybe
that's what I
once a
mean.
year.
Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. So like, your scenarios change,
Mm,
right? Even the people from school, like early school, even sixth form,
yeah.
you probably don't actually hang out with them. Maybe you might have one or two, but
Yeah, yeah.
you don't go up. You don't literally meet up with them all the time. You don't
Mm,
maybe call them, text them all the time.
no.
And then it's the same thing with university. Obviously, it's a bit more recent, so you have a lot more of them now.
Mm,
But my point is that like it just changes every stage,
mm,
and like the whole idea about you are you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with,
mm,
right? It's a common thing. Everyone agrees.
yeah.
But then how do we just distance ourselves away from people that you really do care about, but you know that you know what
They're not
they're
good
not
for
on
you.
the or that they're not even on the same wavelength in the sense that
Yeah.
you want to improve, you want to do things, you can't have the same conversations with them because maybe they just simply don't get it.
Mm.